Welcome to the Non-Negotiable Living Podcast, where we're building lives by design by creating non-negotiable habits around fitness, family, faith, and financial freedom.
Welcome back to Non-Negotiable Living. I'm Ashley, and today we're diving into a topic that's close to my heart, and I believe it's crucial for all of us as we're navigating the digital age to understand the impact of social media on our self-worth and body image. In a world where scrolling through picture-perfect posts has become second nature, it's easy to fall into the trap of comparison, which leads us to question our own value and appearance and worth. But here's the truth. Much of what you see online is curated, filtered, and far from reality. So today I want to have an open and honest conversation about normalizing the aspects of ourselves that social media often portrays as flaws, and I'll share some personal stories to remind you and myself that being human is inherently imperfect, and that it's something to be celebrated and not hidden. We'll also explore the psychological effects of social media and discuss the importance of curating our digital environments in a way that serves us, and provide actionable steps to protect our mental and emotional well-being. So let's strip away the filters and get real about embracing our authentic selves. So first, we're going to talk about the illusion of perfection on social media. Social media platforms are inundated with images that set unrealistic beauty standards, filters, editing tools. It allows users to present an idealized version of themselves that's often far removed from reality. And this constant exposure can distort our perception of normalcy and lead to feelings of inadequacy. And let's be honest, this started long before social media was a thing. I remember looking at highly airbrushed photos on magazines at the grocery store when I was a kid, the movies that we see on TV, just everything. So we've been bombarded with this since we were small children. And then we see things like filter dysmorphia, where people get so accustomed to seeing a version of themselves that is highly edited by their phone, by Snapchat, by Instagram, by the filters that they put on photos, that they don't even feel like their authentic self in their own skin because they've created this blurred and perfect and brightened and smoothed out version of themselves that they portray on the internet to people. Now, we've all seen it. People posting photos where they look like plastic dolls. It's like, come on, people, we know you don't look like that. Let's get rid of this. It's not helping anybody. But a study published by the American Psychological Association found that teens and young adults who reduced their social media use by 50% for just a few weeks saw a significant improvement in how they felt, both about their weight and overall appearance. And research indicates that image-based social media platforms are significantly associated with increased symptoms of body dysmorphia, especially among adolescents. I cannot stress this enough. I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old right now. And I am terrified of the days when they are on social media. I am terrified of the images that my daughter's going to be seeing, my son too, but obviously as women, we get bombarded with this stuff so much more. And reflecting on my own journey, I've recognized moments where these curated perfections on social media make me question my own self-worth. It's a shared experience, and acknowledging it is the first step toward change. I know that before I started running an online virtual business, I was guilty of it. I would put filters on my photos. I would, brighten things, change things, edit things. And I look back and I realized that that didn't do anybody any justice. So I took a stand when I became a virtual fitness coach that any of the photos and videos that I post online are unedited. I don't add filters. I don't change things. Obviously, like sometimes I'll brighten things, but I won't use the editing tools. I don't put filters on anything. I don't change my appearance on anything because I want it to be as real as possible. I don't consider myself an influencer. I consider myself a health coach, and I want to be as real as I can for all of my clients, because if I'm portraying something that is not true on my social media from day to day, then I'm setting them up for unrealistic expectations of what they should be expecting of themselves. And I don't want to do that. I try and keep very open, honest, and authentic with my clients, with my Instagram, with everybody who interacts with me and any of my content, because I don't want people to think that I'm perfect or that any part of my life is perfect, because it's not. And we need to kick that idea out of our system that anybody you see on social media is anything but human. So first and foremost, we have to embrace our authentic selves. And I want to talk about a couple things about myself that people would often think are flaws that I just realized I'm human and that's okay. I made a post on Instagram recently talking about these things, and the outpouring of love and appreciation that I got from it was mind-blowing. So I thought that it was worth digging into these things on a podcast level so we could really talk about it. So I want to share some of my personal aspects of my life that, according to social media standards, might be considered flaws or inadequacies. And I hope that by opening up, you'll see that you're not alone in your experiences and feelings about yourself. So first and foremost, I have gray hair. I've had gray hair since I was probably 16 years old. It's a trait that runs in my family. I'm Sicilian. So my dad had gray hair when he was in his teens as well. And for years and years, my dad dyed his hair. And for years and years, my mom dyed her hair. And finally, one day, I got my dad to stop doing it. Obviously, I never got my mom to stop doing it. But I decided at a young age that I never wanted to dye my hair. So to this day, I'm going to be 35 this year. I've never dyed my hair. I haven't done any crazy colors. I've never dyed it brown. I've never done highlights. I've just never done it. And something that this goes back to, I think for me personally, is that my best friend died when I was 8 years old. So having a friend pass at such a young age really helped me embrace how much of a privilege this life is. So I've chosen not to dye my hair for a couple of reasons. For one, growing older is a privilege denied to many, and oftentimes people associate gray hair with growing older, or obviously stress. But in my opinion, it's not something to be ashamed of. Eventually, most people's hair turns gray, and I think society has inundated us with the idea that you're old, there's something wrong with you, you're not kept up if you have gray hair. But in reality, for me, it's a couple things. For one, I don't want to take the time to go get my hair dyed every 6 weeks. That sounds awful. I'm not a typical woman. I do not enjoy doing beauty-related things. I don't even like going to get my hair cut. I'm thankful that I have an incredible stylist. I love her, and she does such a good job of my hair that I really only have to go get my hair cut once every 6 months. And I love that because I don't enjoy being pampered. I don't like getting my hair done. I don't like getting my nails done. I don't like any of that. It doesn't serve me. I feel like the time could be better used working or with my kids or doing something else, anything but just sitting in that seat. So to me, I don't enjoy the time it takes. I also don't enjoy the money. Like, I talk to friends who get their hair dyed and they spend hundreds of dollars every 6 weeks to keep up with their hair. That sounds terrible to me. I would much rather put that money towards a flight in a hotel to some tropical place once a year than spend thousands of dollars getting my hair turned a different color. That's just me. You do you. Like, I support you 100% if dyeing your hair is something that brings you joy, but it doesn't bring me joy. And if you find that you are the kind of person that you are upholding beauty standards because of expectations of society and it doesn't really serve you, then stop doing it. The next thing I want to talk about is stretch marks and cellulite. Around 98% of women have stretch marks or cellulite. And I want to talk about this because I've had stretch marks since puberty, when my body started changing rapidly. So I have stretch marks on my inner thighs, on the back of my thighs, on my breasts. I have stretch marks on the back of my calves. And this is just something I've learned to deal with. I mean, it happened at such a young age that I just kind of had to accept, like, it's there, they're scars, they're not going to go away, and it is what it is. Obviously, there are times that I see them that it makes me uncomfortable or embarrassed, but when push comes to shove, it's not something I have control over. It's not something I can fix. And a lot of women end up with stretch marks during pregnancy. That's not something that I ended up with. A lot of stretch marks are genetic, and a lot of people fail to realize that. So my mom didn't end up with stretch marks on her stomach when she had me. I didn't end up with them when I had my kids. So a lot of times it's on a person-by-person basis. Now, the other thing is cellulite. So cellulite is so incredibly common, and almost every woman has some amount of cellulite. And it has to do with the structure of our skin and our fat cells. So even at my fittest, with maybe 16% body fat, I still had some amount of cellulite. And it can definitely be a source of insecurity. When I sit down in a bikini on a beach chair, I can see and feel my cellulite on the sides of my thighs. When I wear shorts that are tight around my thighs, I can see it when I stand up. And it's something that, yeah, sometimes it makes me uncomfortable, but it's not going anywhere. So I've learned to accept the fact that it's there. Most women have it, and I'm not going to hide it for the sake of trying to make everybody think that I'm perfect or I don't suffer from it. I've had so many women come to me and say, I want to get healthy so I can look like you. And it's like, okay, well, what do you want to change? And they'll say, well, I have cellulite, I have loose skin, I have belly rolls. And I'm like, girl, I have all of that too. Like, just because I'm fit and healthy doesn't mean I don't lack those struggles and insecurities. It just means they're a little bit different. So I just want to be very realistic about that most women have stretch marks, most women have cellulite, and they don't define your worth. Now, the next thing, body hair. Ugh, if I could laser hair remove my body from the neck down, I absolutely would. I would just get rid of all of it. I'm gonna be honest, I am Italian and I have a fair share of body hair. I have very minimal hair on my arms, which is funny, but I have very thick, coarse hair on my legs, my armpits, and I have a mole and chin hair that just won't quit. It's crazy. It's like, where did this even come from? I feel like the Wicked Witch of the West sometimes when this like crazy long thick hair pops out of a mole on my chin. I'm like, can we not do this? But honestly, there's no shame in it. It's there. It happens. I'm not going to stress about it. I'll pluck it when it pops out and I'm just going to let it be because there's nothing I can do to fix it. But those are things that can make me feel uncomfortable. I get a lot of ingrown hairs on my inner thighs during the summer because I have thick thighs and I get chub rub. Like, that's just part of the deal. And I definitely know women who will go all winter without shaving. I can't do it. I wish I could, but I really hope and pray one day I could just laser hair remove all of this hair off and not have to worry about it, because it is such a time-consuming task more than anything. There's no shame in having body hair. We all have body hair. It's natural, it protects us, but yeah, it's a pain. Can we all just agree on that? Also, let's talk about the natural body changes that come with becoming a mother. So post-pregnancy, my body changed in ways I didn't anticipate. I have looser skin on my stomach. My belly button is a different shape. I mean, can we talk about how weird that is? Like, I had a certain belly button for 30 years of my life and now it's not shaped the same. That's very strange to me. Changes in my breasts. It's all reminders of the incredible journey of motherhood. And while these changes are an incredible blessing, sometimes they can be challenging to accept. They narrate the story of my life and the miracles that are bringing children into the world, and I'm so thankful for them, but that doesn't mean it doesn't make me uncomfortable sometimes to be in a body that is different. You know, I spent 30 years in a body that I felt very in control of, and pregnancy was something that I felt very out of control of. So we just have to remember that those changes are something that take a lot of time to accept. Also, skin imperfections. I think this is the worst part about the filters on social media, is making people think that everybody's skin is picture perfect and smooth and soft. It's like, no, I deal with uneven skin tone. I have large pores. My forehead is greasy, like you could fry bacon on it. And I break out like a teenager sometimes. And despite a dedicated skincare routine, which I honestly know nothing about, I'm terrible with skincare, it's just not my strong suit. These issues can be persistent, and it's a mix of genetics, hormones, and just life. And comparing myself to some airbrushed images online does not help anything. Those don't represent what's real. And if you're comparing yourself to these people you see online who are using these obnoxious filters to look like porcelain dolls, unfollow those people because they are not serving you. They're making you feel bad about yourself in a way that you don't deserve. So let's talk about the psychological impacts of social media now that I've delved out all of my flaws. So understanding the psychological ramifications is crucial in navigating its influence on our self-esteem. So comparison culture is a big problem, and constant exposure to idealized images fosters a culture of comparison, leading to dissatisfaction and diminished self-worth. So if you're spending hours a day scrolling social media, comparing yourself to supermodels and movie stars and all of these people who are having highly photoshopped photos posted on every platform, and you're comparing yourself to that, stop. It is not doing you any benefit. It is not adding any value to your life, and it's only going to make you feel worse about yourself. Also, from a mental health perspective, it can be really detrimental. So studies have linked excessive social media use to increased anxiety, depression, body image issues. So that curated nature of online content can create unrealistic standards that are impossible to meet. It also makes people think that everybody else's life is perfect. You have to remember, people are posting their highlight reels. Not everybody's life is a highlight reel, and everybody has problems, everybody has issues, everybody has down days, and I can appreciate the people on social media who share that vulnerability and are willing to open up about the fact that every day is not happy hunky-dory, every day is not, farting out flowers and butterflies. Like, that's not what it's like. And life can be hard sometimes for everybody. I think it's imperative that we follow and align ourselves with people who are willing to be open about those things. Also, we have to remember that as mothers, adolescents are particularly at risk for all of this. So, teenagers are very vulnerable. Research has shown that 40% of teens feel like images on social media cause them to worry about their own body image. As much as we can keep our children off of social media, the better. But we have to be aware that as adults, it affects us. As children, it affects them. As adolescents, it affects them. Nobody is able to dodge these bullets of comparison. So what can we do to mitigate it? Obviously, social media isn't going anywhere. If anything, it's going to become worse and worse and a more detrimental and bigger part of our life than we probably understand now. So while social media is integral and we can use it for a lot of good, there is a lot of bad, and we have to have the power to shape our digital environments in a way that supports our well-being. So here's some steps you can take to do that. We need to unfollow negative influences. So we need to regularly assess the accounts we follow, and if any of them make you feel inadequate, if any of them diminish your self-worth, then it's time to unfollow them. If you're following anybody who really doesn't align with your values and it makes you angry, if it makes you frustrated, if it increases your anxiety, if it makes you stress about your body, if it makes you feel like you need to change things about yourself, get rid of those people. A good example that I have is that as a influencer, which again, people call me that. I wouldn't consider myself that. I consider myself a health coach. But now that I have a lot of viewers on Instagram, I have to be very careful about what I post because I don't want to be that detrimental person to anybody else. I try and keep everything very realistic. Talk about motherhood, talk about the struggles, the goods, the bads, the ups, the downs, the ugly parts of life and the parts that are struggles. But I don't think that mothers should be following fitness influencers that are not mothers, because anybody who says we all have the same 24 hours in a day isn't chasing around a couple kids, isn't maybe working full time and having to balance the juggling act that is children and childcare and a house and a husband and all of the things. And I think it's hard when we compare ourselves to these 20-something-year-olds that literally get paid to work out online, and we're thinking we're over here 35, 2 kids, a full-time job, running a business, husband, household, all the chores. And we're like, God, it looks so easy for them. Well, yeah, it is easy for them. So don't compare yourself to that. Choose people to follow that align with your life and the outcome you're looking for, who inspire you, not people who make you feel negative about yourself. So follow positive and realistic accounts. Seek out creators who promote that authenticity and body positivity that aligns with your thoughts. Surrounding yourself with genuine content can shift your perspective in a positive light, but if you find that the content is pushing you in a negative space, then get rid of it. We also need to limit our screen time. And I know that sounds like the pot calling the kettle black because my business is run through social media. But honestly, if I could give that away, if I could not have 1 ounce of time on my Instagram, I would do it in a second. But this allows me to reach incredible women all over the world who need help, and it's worth it for that reason. But we have to set boundaries for our social media usage. So we have to designate tech-free times to reconnect with the real world and our family, and especially our children. We need to have time with them where we put the phone down. So for me, I work in the mornings I wake up at 4 a.m. and I work from 4:30 to 6. My kids wake up at 6. It's no phone time from 6 to 7. The kids leave for school at 7 and I work from 7 to 4, pick the kids up, and then it's no phone time from 4 until 7:30 when they go to sleep. And then after they go to sleep, I spend devoted time with my husband. So we try not to be on the phones during any of those times that our children are around. We have an absolutely no phone rule at the dining room table, at breakfast, at dinner, at lunch. So we try and unplug as much as possible. We need to engage in offline activities, especially outside. We have to pursue hobbies and activities that bring us joy and fulfillment outside of the digital realm. If everything we do is on the computer, in front of a TV, in front of our phone, we are missing out on the real world and life. We need to get out in the sunshine. We need to breathe the fresh air. We need to go on walks and play with our kids in the parks. And it's good for us and our children. We have to get away from our screens. And we need to practice mindfulness. So we need to stay present and cultivate gratitude on our unique journey. So if you are on a health journey, if you're making progress towards your goals, please do not compare yourself to anybody else. There are so many things that you're going to see online that are just full of lies, and they aren't things that are true or real. And we have to make a conscious effort to try and align ourselves with things that serve us, that make us better, that don't drag us down, so that we can have the best mental and emotional health around the things that we see and allow into our lives. So more than anything, everybody, I just want to remind you that I'm human, you're human, and these struggles that you're having are innately human. That doesn't mean you're flawed. That doesn't mean anything's wrong with you. That doesn't mean you're failing. But we're allowed to feel insecure, but we also should not allow anything in our life by choice to make us feel that way if we don't need to. We have full control over what we consume from a social media perspective, and we need to set boundaries with it. We need to allow ourselves to be surrounded by things that are going to lift us up, make us feel good, and truly thrive, and so that we can achieve the best version of ourselves. We cannot continue to bombard ourselves with things that are going to hurt us in the long run from a mindset perspective. So please take a minute this week or this weekend and purge your social media of things that don't serve you. If you find yourself scrolling and think, God, this really brings me down, unfollow, unlike, turn the app off on your phone, take breaks from social media for extended periods of time just to reset and see how you feel. Make sure that you set specific times a day that you spend time with your family without your phone. I remember growing up without phones and having a cord phone at the house, and that was it. We didn't have screens and phones, and people couldn't get in touch with us. And I truly believe it was a better time. So please focus on what matters most, and that's the people around you. Hug your kids, spend more devoted time with them. And I hope that this has helped you guys understand that you are human, and it's okay to be human, and it's okay to struggle with your mindset and your feelings about your body, but we have to work to continue to accept ourselves and remember that we can be a work in progress and filled with pure perfection at the same time. And we can accept both of those things and keep striving for it. So I hope you enjoyed this. If this was helpful, please share it with somebody else. And just remember, keep focusing on getting 1% better every day. You guys got this.